one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin, crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best? There is no second best.
This is Discover Crypto, and today we're going to talk about the best AI coins that we have our eyes on, and it's a very special episode, and we're gearing up for a very special week. We might be performing from the studio tomorrow, but I am joined here with Drew.
Hey.
Drew, how are you doing today?
Doing good, doing good. We're getting close on the studio. It's been a lot of work, but I'm excited for it, man.
Why do I feel like I didn't know you had a tattoo?
This is actually a very special tattoo. This is no joke. This is my brother's ashes inside of a tattoo.
Put in the ink.
Yep, in
Cool
the ink.
stuff.
So just carry him around with me everywhere. But good morning, D.
Hey, good morning, everybody. GM, go ahead and smash that like button, everybody, because we got a lot of charts that we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at Bitcoin. We're going to be looking at Hype. We got some other news with XRP as well. We're going to be looking at the XRP charts. But let's go ahead and look at the crypto market. So Bitcoin is up slightly, 0.7%. ETH is pretty flat here. BNB slightly up as well. And we see Hype, actually one of the losers here, and Meme Core still being a little suspicious. XLM looking good with the nice pump there, and Zcash with the nice pump. Now, we do have some major movers. Meme Core, the biggest mover, Just Lint, that is up as well, 9.0%. Monero with the nice little move here. And if we look, DEXE, named by Asian authorities, I want to say it was South Korea. They named that one as maybe one to stay away from. You can see a nice red candle there. Athena is down and Canton is down. And we're going to cover some Canton news. And there's also another major mover today, Binance Life, just cracking into the top 100. It keeps getting in, getting out, 102. Look at this one, Drew. This one is up 10x in the last month. This is one that we were actually looking at because it was one of the big movers earlier, hitting the top, it was in the top 200 there. Then it started to crash. Then it started to crash again. And now it's crime season is back on. I like how this happened right after Rave DAO.
For sure.
And all this manipulation stuff. And we also saw with OpenAI. And now it looks like Binance Life is just next in line.
Listen, the laundering's got to go somewhere. Okay. And it's just going to be cyclical. How long has this been pumping like this, DZ? Has it been just a few days into this pump?
This is the monthly chart here. So we're looking at about half a month ago. That's when we started to see a pump.
Okay. Yeah, they got usually like a 2 or 3 week shelf life. So we'll end up watching this one. I don't even know how to search it on CoinMarketCap. I guess I could find it under top gainers, but
Maybe Binance Life.
All right. I don't have any Chinese letters on my keyboard here. I'm looking for them. I'm not.
Yeah,
seeing
I'm
them.
looking for the Cantonese symbols, and I don't see any Cantonese symbols there. So I guess I'm just out of luck there. All right, let's look at Bitcoin's chart. Now, Bitcoin's still trading in the range. Didn't quite get to the midway point there. Now starting to bounce. If we zoom in a little bit, we can see the RSI starting to cool off. We kind of talked about this with some smaller time frames yesterday, and now we're starting to see it. You can see here, the 4 hour. It's kind of neutral there. We're not really getting clear data. You can say, all right, on the 1 hour, we are getting some hidden bearish divs. Really, I guess it's not even hidden. It is slightly lower on the right side. So Bitcoin getting a little overbought on the 1 hour, on the 2 hour, but on the daily, still looking good, Drew, still trading in the range. And we're getting pretty close. We got pretty close to the 80K call. A few $100 away there. Looks like it got up to about maybe about $1,500 away, went up about 78,500. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin? What are we going to see next? Because we're kind of in the middle between 80 and 70K, Drew. Do we see 80K or 70K first?
I think more so I'm looking at kind of like 73. I'm seeing 73 and then 71 are pretty reasonable bounce points I'm watching out for on Bitcoin in particular. So, when I'm looking at this, I do feel like the range between 74.9 to 76.3 is turbulent / resistance for the time being. We are riding off that fresh kind of green money flow move that we highlighted on the show yesterday, but a little bump and run is reasonable in a bullish environment. Even with money flow swooping back to the upside, a little bump and run to clear out liquidity, and currently there is more reason for down than up, right? Looking
Yep.
at that.
Yeah, you can see it right here. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. And I did have a half a mind. I usually leave Mondays alone for trading and start trading Tuesdays, Tuesday through Friday, essentially. Trump was speaking at CNBC this morning.
Yeah, I pulled a clip from that. He was
Yeah.
talking to Joe Kernan on Squawk Box.
And a live time, you could see like that's exactly where we kind of pulled back on Bitcoin, right? Trump is yapping about Iran and all the different things that is going on within the Strait of Hormuz, and there's just a little bit of a haircut, but in general, this is only a 1% move to the downside. It's still within the turbulent box that I've marked out for some time, and these are the essentially bump and run targets that I have. And the most bullish bump and run target would be essentially a wash down to this midpoint of the channel, right around 74.5. That'd be great if we could hold that up. But we might have to go vibe check 73.5 to prove it as support. It doesn't look horribly bearish right now. The 4-hour is starting to come down in terms of money flow. So those bear divs that you were kind of highlighting at the beginning of the show, kind of playing themselves out on the market side for money flow, and the momentum is already to the upside. So that's kind of what I'm watching. Like I don't really feel the greatest confidence in shorts in the current momentum of the market for Bitcoin in particular. I'd feel more comfortable shorting things like Solana or maybe Aave that's kind of losing the narrative, things like that. But Bitcoin's feeling bullish, but having a little bump and run usually is how the bullish structures end up playing themselves out. So
100%. Now, people talking about the CME gap. We do have a CME gap at 83. Is that where it's at? Yeah. Actually, no, even a little bit lower. You could say 81,500 there. So there is a CME gap. This is from January. When we closed the tail end of January, then we opened in the beginning of February. This is January 30th, February 2nd. And so there's no trading on the weekends, which would be the 31st and the 1st right there. But yeah, 100%, there is a CME gap. People were saying Trump was bearish. Actually, I pulled the clip, Drew. I don't do these types of posts often, but I saw that Trump was speaking. I looked for it. I went to CNBC. This video was posted when I was on the website 1 minute ago. So I was like, all right, let me go ahead and get it out. Now, this is Trump just says, I expect to be bombing. Let's just play the first part of this video. Let me turn.
At least the prospects for a signed deal today and tomorrow, or else you would resume bombing Iran.
Well, I expect to be bombing.
I expect to be bombing, saying you don't want to take that off the table heading into a negotiation.
Yeah. And really, this is a situation I want to say is going to be done soon. I want to say 2 weeks to slow the bombs. It just doesn't feel real. And it feels like this is going to run into 2027. But, the market had really violent initial reactions to the conflict, and now it's starting to kind of level out. And it's almost like when you're a kid, the idea of getting spanked was always worse than the occurrence of getting spanked, right? So
Yeah.
now the market's kind of, past that worry of getting spanked. And when they finally do see a spanking or a big kaboom.
Did you ever get paddled? I was paddled. Not so much
No.
belt, paddle.
It was a belt for me, a belt, nice
Okay.
leather belt, right?
There's a nice scary wooden board with holes drilled in it so there would be no air cushion.
Absolutely. So, it's just kind of that initial mental game that the market went through when we saw this conflict kind of kick off has kind of played itself out now. And it's having less and less of an effect. It's going to take something like a major escalation, say Saudi Aramco, or, just a general stoppage or an embargo. And for me personally, I'm just throwing it out there. If I was the president, I would embargo the world. I would just embargo the world and see what
And
happens.
Steve-O saying he can't see the chat. Maybe hit refresh. We can see yours. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the AI coins. Why are we talking about AI tokens? Why are we flipping semi-bullish on AI? Well, it's because of Coinbase and the X402. We'll explain what that means, but X402 is a lot larger than Coinbase. The biggest players, the biggest tech giants, the biggest banks in the world are all in on X402. We'll describe what it means. No, the X402 is launched by Coinbase back in May 25. It allows AI agents to make internet payments using stablecoins. That's the simplest explanation there. Now, the payment standard has launched a marketplace for apps and services to boost the usefulness of AI agents. So now Coinbase is launching a marketplace for their X402 ecosystem here. And they said there's going to have a, Drew, you've seen Her, right? With Joaquin Phoenix.
I think so. I think I have.
He's
seen
best friends with the AI. And
Yes.
it sweeps the globe. Everyone's using it. You fast forward, maybe it's a week, maybe it's 2 weeks. The AI agents get bored with humans and they all start having relationships with themselves. And if you remember, they invent their own language. Do you remember that? They're like,
I
they're not
do.
even talking in English or, I guess, Cantonese would actually be one of the largest speaking languages there. This is very similar. Now, Coinbase's marketplace is going to have a web interface for humans to browse and evaluate services. That's for me and you. That's for us. But then there's also going to be a programming layer that allows AI agents access to the platform to search, filter, integrate new capabilities autonomously at runtime without a human in the loop. So there's going to be a marketplace for us, and there's going to be almost a back-end marketplace for the AI agents. It's going to give agents provide an AI agent with skills or code on how to use the service, along with a wallet that gives them the ability to buy and sell services on the marketplace. Hopefully, no love bots. The X402, named after the rarely used HTTP status code 402 payment required. You may have seen this before on a website. Remember, I said this is bigger than Coinbase. It has support from Google, Microsoft, Amazon. Say that again. Google, Microsoft, Amazon. They back the creation of the 402 Foundation to govern the protocol, but it doesn't end there. That's just the tech giants. What about the banks? What about the payment providers? American Express, MasterCard, Visa. 99% of credit cards used in the Western world. Cloudflare, Shopify, Stripe, Circle, Base, Polygon Labs, and Solana Foundation, Third Web, and Kakao Pay, I believe you say that, also express initial intent and support of the foundation. And Brian Armstrong said at the time there would be more AI agents transacting online than humans very soon. And Circle CEO said literally billions of AI agents will be transacting soon, within 3 to 5 years. So that's why we're going to be talking about AI today. We're going to look at some of the coins, maybe ask you guys what AI coins do you want us to chart? We have a little bit of time. We could chart your favorite AI coins here. But one of the best way to find some, go to CoinGecko, go to CoinMarketCap, and search in categories, look for AI. That's going to give you a lot of tokens that maybe aren't so much AI related, like Chainlink. I'll say, other than that, though, pretty good. The graph probably. But here you have Tau, Near, Subnet is Stake Tau. That's the root one. That's the default one. ICP, Render, Fetch, Virtuals, Venice token. Look at Venice on the 30 days.
Venice has been really good. Yeah.
This one is way up there because, you have some small market cap coins that are pumping hard, but Venice is a larger market cap. It's up 63%. Piverse up 75%. Let me zoom out so I can go back by market cap here. Yeah, and leading the way, I like Tau. If I had to choose one, I am choosing Tau. Drew, what about you? Chat, what AI coins do you want us to look at here?
Yeah, I mean, Tau is a given, and we've been covering a lot of Tau. I feel like Virtuals is something that I also want to give a fair shake to because a lot of the agents developed came out of Virtuals. Yeah, Conscious is bringing that up. PVV is kind of interesting. It's privacy focused. It's got some big backers behind it. But Virtuals, looking at it right now, is kind of an interesting moment that it's at. It's almost like a Tau-esque type chart, right? Where it's came and tested that market.
Yeah. I don't even know how long ago we drew out that trend line there, but it just hit it. And if we look on the daily, 1, 2, 3, 4 days ago, we definitely drew this well before this touch right there. So yeah, Virtuals rejecting on the trend line. I'm bullish on Virtuals, but we need to go up and then retest. And then that's when I would say I like the trade.
And it's knocking on the door of that at a good time, right? We got to think about the context of the time frame and what these altcoins are doing, because generally speaking, there is money flowing back into crypto. The ETF flows are looking strong for Bitcoin. ETH is holding itself up respectively well around the 2,000 plus range. And now the time frame for being afraid of a massive pump is back in my mind, and this thing is knocking on the door right there. At that mark, basically, what is that trend line coming up to? About 70 cents, maybe 75 cents at the top end of that yellow line. What's
Oh, the
the
top
yellow
end, the
line?
yellow. Yeah, 78.
Yeah, so we're knocking on that door. And even just a diminished pump up. What's the pump up to the yellow or the white line? Because that's kind of diminished expectations, not going to the
That's a
moon.
nice, 69% pump.
That's not a bad grab, right? And it's looking like it's trying to bubble up and go after it. So, seeing this happen, AI, there's all kinds of conversation. Will it continue? Is it a bubble that's going to pop? Bubbles can be seen way further ahead of when they actually pop by smart people. And that's some of the maddening parts about knowing that you're looking at something that's eventually going to have a major pullback is it could take 3, 4, 5 years from now for any substantial major pullback to happen. There's near protocol still at $1 something. Jeez Louise.
I might have
That
been
is
looking
good.
at 3-day bull divs, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe. Yeah, I think so. So that was the 3-day bull divs. You see right here, it did play out. You had a nice little pump there. Pointed this
Yeah.
out a while ago. Yeah, dang, that pumped 77%. I didn't realize. But if you held on, now you're down. Now you're feeling a lot of pain here.
Right.
Do we have fresh bull divs though? Maybe that's worth looking at. Go to the daily. No, we have we're getting overbought. In fact, we're seeing the opposite here. So maybe a correction coming for near here, but small time frame, that's a bull flag. That is a bull flag. So you got a little bit of mixed emotions here. You got a mixed bag of emotions on near. Any other ones you want to look at, Drew? I don't know, am I looking at Tau?
Yeah, let's check out Tau. Tau is one of the charts that I had up this morning, and I really feel like it's
That's right.
important for us to
You
track
point out
it.
the Fibonacci bounce yesterday. That's right. We looked at this yesterday.
Yeah, and really like what I'm looking for as an investor personally is entry points much lower than where it's at right now. It'll be interesting to see if it can defend itself. It's trying to defend itself above the main fib. But my last buy on Tau was 130. I like, right here, I would do maybe a 5 to 10% of my overall intention for DCA in the mid 200s, low 200s. That's reasonable. But my back up the truck moment and where I really get more aggressive is in the mid 100 range. So near is such a throwback too. I remember that project was at it went to I know it was over $5 when I got out of it, and I was kind of disappointed with it. So seeing it come back to that level is kind of
Don't
disappointing.
pull
What
up
is this one?
peak. That's peak pain. That's that stings. That stings the nostrils.
Yeah, that's exited.
Woo-hoo!
That's
Yeah,
un-
Stay
Yeah.
away.
And there's a good example of ghosts in the machine that still exists, like AI XBT. It's still an agent that responds and gives good information on X, and it's still technically an AI agent doing its job, but the token is down 99.9% or something. It says it itself. My token got sold by a bunch of insiders, but I'm still here giving data, doing my job. Is basically, kind of a it's almost like a fever dream of AI. So that's why you got to be careful. Now this is the Tau subnet sector.
Yeah,
that
I
we're
mean,
looking at now.
if you're buying a token with the $2 million market cap because it's called Rich Kids of Tau, you're buying off the 30-day pump or the 7-day pump, just expect to lose all your money.
Mhm.
But it is crime season. So maybe this runs up, maybe it goes up to a $10 million market cap. You end up 5Xing from here. Remember we covered the story where the guy was abandoning his subnets there?
Yes.
That one is now down 73%. That one's down 71%. I'm not sure if he was connected to Grail, but I know he was connected to these two right here. So huge declines, but we are seeing some pumps there. But again, be very careful with these because how small the market caps are. I would stick with the majors, maybe above 50 million for the market cap, maybe above 40 million. Below that, you're kind of asking to get used as exit liquidity. That's
Absolutely.
one of the things I would use.
Well, it's all about mindset when you're getting into it, right? Like I'm a leverage trader with Tether, but also I look at these micro caps that have potential to run as a levered play. They're if they're just as, if not more volatile than 50x leverage, oftentimes that can go sideways, especially if you're not willing to jeet it at a 30% downturn, or you're not wanting to hold it. These come with extreme volatility, and it is important to note that it's harder to find these good mega pumpers that are microcaps for sure. But I think that there's going to be some intention for teams to be long lasting now that Google and Microsoft and Amazon Web Services are now talking about this X402 payments system actually going live and building this out. This is a big advancement to the internet, pay for use internet, and there's going to be winners in here, but there's going to be a lot of losers. There will be
Mhm.
blood, right? So you just have to know that there's probably going to be a lot of pain in finding those deep alt picks that end up doing well. It's not easy.
All right. Well, speaking of AI, staying on the same topic here, XRP creating a nice little firewall against AI, against quantum threats. They say Ripple sets 2028 very soon to make XRP Ledger quantum ready. And so they are rolling out the upgrades there. You could listen to their chief technology officer for more, but it's a multi-phase roadmap, and it's going to give it a post-quantum future targeting readiness by 2028. We don't know if it's going to happen. Now, they said the threat is no longer theoretical, and financial infrastructure must begin planning now. So XRP trying to get ahead of the curve here. Wanted to point some out. With the peak that we had 4 days ago, kind of forming a new symmetrical triangle, a new price structure here for XRP. And so I would keep an eye out on this top range. And you could if you do this on the 4 hour, kind of looks okay. But this is an area to pay attention to for the pump. If XRP keeps pumping, keep an eye out right around 150, 151. If it happens today, 152, but right around 150, might see a little bit of selling pressure for XRP. And we're still going to say a lot of resistance around this area. And I deleted the one thing where we wick a little bit below this box, then head back down. But that's what I'm seeing with the XRP charts. How you feeling on XRP here, Drew? That's not good. That is not good.
That's not good, but I still do feel like from a broader perspective on XRP, it can defend $1. I think it can defend $1 should price cascade and Bitcoin goes and vibe check 60K again. I think that XRP is going to be able to defend $1. Now, this type of token doesn't have that massive moonshot upside to $10 or $20 over the next few years that I know a lot of people are looking for, and I look for them admittedly myself, right? So that's part of what loses the luster there. Is that a bear div you're calling out on that?
Yeah, it's
recent
bear
peak
div on the
here?
4 hour.
Okay.
Right there at the peak.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not interested in holding XRP for a myriad of different reasons, but I'd rather use leverage on XRP. And I think that there's a lot of leverage betting on XRP going to zero that will be liquidated because the markets love to hurt people that think they know everything. And there's a lot of people that are sure it's going to zero. I absolutely despise it, but I don't think it's going to zero. And I can't stop, the family bag from growing an XRP, even with how much work and how much, convincing I do. People just want a shot at the, at the third biggest crypto. Is it maybe third or fourth biggest crypto project now? Where did it fall to in terms of market cap ranking? It is number 4, but that's including Tether. So still technically, excluding stablecoins, it's the third biggest crypto out there. So
Yeah.
probably here to stay.
At one point, bigger than Bitcoin for like an hour or something.
Right.
I think it was like 2018 or was it 14 or 15? Something
I
like
think
that.
it was the 2017 run where I did that initial $3 plus just jackknife to the moon. And as time goes on, they release more and more tokens, and those get released, sold, the market cap grows. It has a degree of token inflation. The real problem of why it's not going to go parabolic, even if something like all the banks use XRP, like Schwartz Awaken says, is that the burn mechanism on the XRP token for utilizing XRP within Ripple's payment system is so exponentially small that it's very, very difficult you have to move trillions and trillions of XRP tokens to make, back and forth on that payment.
Someone was bringing up Cardano needs that Chainlink integration. Someone's talking about Cardano's marketing proposal. Love to see DZ's take on the new ADA marketing proposal. I don't know if this is it. This is from 7 hours ago. Service Plan Group, they have submitted a marketing proposal and they've worked with BMW, Netflix, and Amazon. I would say any marketing is good. Timing your marketing is also important. Right now might actually be a pretty good time to start marketing some ADA there. So I have to look more into that there. Now let's talk a little Bitcoin here. Charles Schwab has now released Bitcoin. I would say a Bitcoin advertisement. It's an educational video on Bitcoin and risk management. They're launching direct Bitcoin trading in the coming weeks here. Kind of wanted to fast forward to the portfolio assessment. Here we go.
Stocks consist of almost 100% of the.
So talking about the classic 60-40 split. This is the majority of their clients probably have something similar to this.
Stocks and 40% bonds. Stocks consist of almost 100% of the risk in that portfolio because they're far more volatile. If that investor decides to add an even more unruly asset like Bitcoin, they might only want Bitcoin to make up 10% of the portfolio's risk.
So if you're moderate risk, they're saying, yeah, maybe a little bit of Bitcoin where Bitcoin's only 10% of your risk metric, not 10%
According
of
to
the
Schwab Center
portfolio.
for Financial Research, that investor might want to invest no more than 2.7%.
2.7%. But they say, well, what if you're a little bit more aggressive with your risk? You're up to 20%.
That would translate to an allocation of just under 7%.
6.9%. And so they're giving out some pretty decent numbers.
Cryptocurrencies can be exposure, lead to larger buying.
The more risk you are, the more
risk
Bitcoin for your portfolio. But moderate risk coming in at 2.something%, that's pretty good. And, decent risk coming in at 6.9%, also fairly decent. And just to reiterate here, $12 trillion in assets under management.
Yeah. I mean, even if just a pinky toe of Wall Street actually does flow into crypto, that's going to move the market pretty substantially. Missed opportunity from Charles Schwab. They could have done 6.7%. Okay, they were barely
Maybe
off.
6.9 was the meme choice.
They chose the wrong meme.
They're going old school though, Drew. You got to remember they're old. They're old heads, so they're not going to be Zoomers.
That is true. That is true. I took my son's buddy to a car show with us this weekend. And there's a Tesla Cybertruck you could write and paint all over. He just, like, every single kid went up and painted 6-7 all over this Tesla vehicle. Like, the people are having to stop the children from riding 6-7. The police even threatened to arrest them.
Were they doing Fortnite dances next to the vehicle?
They were.
They didn't park it in front of Trump Tower, did they? That'd be terrible.
There is no Trump Tower in the hillbilly haven we live in. You know that.
No, it's Meth Tower, but that's another topic for another episode. Let's talk about I want to do the math on this. I haven't checked this myself. We're going to do it live. 2.5 months worth of Bitcoin supply purchase in a single week. So if you weren't aware, Michael Saylor announced their buy yesterday. We talked about this, 34,164. It was about 450 Bitcoin mined every single day. And so this is what they bought yesterday, representing the whole week's worth of purchases. This is how much Bitcoin's mined daily. How many days worth of Bitcoin did they buy? Let's find out. That's crazy, Drew. 76 days worth of Bitcoin.
Inflows only, huh? That's absolutely crazy.
That's MicroStrategy's aggressive Bitcoin buying yesterday. It represents the whole week. But last week, I guess you could say they bought in 7 days, they bought 75 days worth of the Bitcoin that is mined.
So the longer this goes on, the more I feel like MicroStrategy is going to be some hybridized, nationalized version of a U.S. Bitcoin strategic reserve.
What does that mean? Because I don't even know what that means, really.
Yeah, so I think that government interest in ownership or just general control over the strategy Bitcoin stack could eventually take place. All right, maybe they let it grow to 2 million Bitcoin or let it grow.
Is your thesis that they will buy Bitcoin exposure, or are they going to continue what they're doing, which is seize from criminals?
No, they're going to continue seizing from criminals, but this is a crazy theory. Eventually, it might come to fruition that the U.S. includes strategy in treasury bonds, in a hybrid Bitcoin bond exposure, and then U.S. bonds for the vast majority of it. But
Now, is this something released by the government, or are you saying a private company might create a package of Bitcoin-backed bonds? Are you saying
I
from the
definitely think
Fed?
that. Yeah, I think I know in my heart that a private
Whoa.
company is going to release this, but it's not out of mind for the U.S. government and the Treasury to do this from their perspective as well. This is
I would
stuff.
say the anger that would erupt from Elizabeth Warren makes it literally impossible for that to ever happen.
Think so?
There's a lot of people who hate crypto and think it's all scammers, and that will galvanize that base, and it would really not help the people trying to push that. But it
Potentially,
hurt them.
currently there is that, but I'm talking 5-10 years from now as the debt surpasses 50 trillion, as the debt crisis becomes a more tangible thing, then the tune might change for both sides of the aisle, right? They might have a kumbaya moment if they realize that they are truly going to be going down a debt crisis. Then, the political theater can take a sidestep and they can make a new product.
All right, well, let's
to
go
roll
from
out.
political theater to altcoin theater. Chat, I'm not going to ask you any other questions. This is the only question I'm going to ask you today. So I want you guys to get a little activated here. Ledger posted this, and I really had to think about it. Besides Bitcoin, I think most of us are going to choose Bitcoin here, but DCA won forever. Drew, Bitcoin's the obvious choice here. But let's
Yeah.
just say Bitcoin's not on here. What do you DCA forever?
Oh
ETH,
my God.
XRP, or Cardano? You can't choose Bitcoin. Chat, who are you choosing? Who are you choosing here?
I have to choose the best prison.
The best prison, you said?
Yeah, I think Ethereum would at least have like good yard time. So I'd probably choose Ethereum. I'd go with Ethereum.
All right, looks like Chad is saying Ethereum. We got a couple Cardano holders here, Cardano lovers even at that point. ADA or ETH, okay. Hey, all right, the Cardano community saying, you know what? Remember, we used to not lose polls. XRP holder have to... No, not the XRP holder saying, yeah, forever's about right if you want to be positive on your buys there. Let's see here. XRP is only because it's volatile to the upside sometimes. That's actually an interesting theory there. When of those three, XRP does pump the hardest, and you got to respect the pump. If you don't respect the pump, you miss the pump. And a lot of people like to talk bad about the pump. They talk poorly about the pump. They miss the pump, and you got to respect the pump. To quote Ivan there, ETH looks like ETH.
Oh,
ETH.
Meanless is saying Caspa. He's about to get banned. Yeah, Caspa.
People love Caspa.
And proof of work maxis. And I
by
like
physics.
proof of work. Yeah,
does that mean?
Caspa. It's not that I'm mad at Caspa. It's that I'm disappointed in Caspa. Right? I'm disappointed in the lack of growth there. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's on your shoulder because you don't talk about it." That's a disgusting thought process to have, that it's on my shoulders to make a decentralized proof of work system work. So no, I don't think Caspa's going to be in there. I would still go with ETH. I would still go with ETH. Absolutely.
Crapspa. Let's see here. If you DCAing, pumps just mean you're buying at the top. That's a very, very fair point there. Interesting theory on kind of where you're going, Drew. What if the government's slow rolling the Bitcoin reserve because they actually have control of Satoshi's wallet?
What if? What if they created a Phantom of the Opera to make other nations eat into it, thinking that they're in this, new realm where they're not controlled by the U.S. dollar anymore because the U.S. are bullies and they shut down the world energy grid, and then all of a sudden they're right back to square one. Right? It's like the Matrix, where you think you're out of the Matrix. Neo's like, thinks he's flesh and blood, and then all of a sudden he realizes he can stop the machines in that other Matrix as well. No, it's just a theory that
Maybe the bad guy in that movie had it right. Just give me stakes and, just live in oblivion.
yeah,
As long as my stakes mid-rare, I'm happy.
It's more calm of an existence, that's for sure.
Drew, what's the correct temperature to order your steak? I know I said I wasn't going to ask any more questions, so I won't ask you, but if you want to post, you can. I'm a mid-rare guy, and I think anything else is just patently wrong.
I kicked a person out of my house when they asked for a medium steak. Medium rare only. That is the only thing that I will cook inside of my house. And anyone that asks for anything otherwise is getting banned. So I would accept rare. I would accept red.
I cooked steaks for in my 20s, the girl I was dating and her friend at the time, and the friend asked for steak sauce. I said no. She said, "Do you have any ketchup?" I said, "You can't use ketchup." She looked at the girl I'm dating. She's like, "Is he for real?" She's like, "Yeah, he's for real." No,
Yeah.
no ketchup on the steak. Okay, no ketchup.
Don't you dare. Cal gave his life for that meal.
This is huge. James Seifert just reported this here. There's another amended Hyperliquid ETF filing, this one from Grayscale. The main difference here is Grayscale no longer going to use Coinbase as their trust. I think they're going to be using a Anchorage Bank instead. Oh yeah, Anchorage will be the custodian there. And so this is huge. This is very, very high odds that we're going to see this pass pretty shortly here. So we're going to see some hype ETFs. Grayscale is going to be launching a hype ETF. Probably going to see other hype ETFs. There's another one that's in the works that's getting close to fruition here. And I have a couple thoughts here. I have a couple bullish thoughts, couple bearish thoughts. Bullish in the white, bearish in the red here. So number one, we got a log chart trend line. This is on a log chart. If you go to the regular, it doesn't work. It actually got a little bit moved to the downside. But if you use the log chart, let me go back. Boom. Nice touch right here, right where we're at. Also, we're hitting a second level of support. This is what we call the double support. $40 has long acted as support. The teal line is right there at $40, $40.09. I was moving it around. I gave you this alpha months and months ago. I said hype likes to trade right around these round numbers. Rejected at 40, support at 40, support at 40, rejected. Now maybe support. So we got two signs that are bullish for Hyperliquid. What about the bear signs? Bearish div on the daily. And so let me pull up the RSI. Look at that. You can see the higher high, RSI, lower high. Not where we want to be. Number two, let me go to the regular. Let's make sure it's a little bit cleaner here. We are at the 50% on this bull flag. Now, this is a dubious flag. Looks a lot better on the 4 hour. I mean, actually doesn't. Actually, on the 4 hour, almost looks like a head and shoulders. I didn't notice that. But you don't want to drop below 50% point. Right now, we're literally at the 50% point. So can a bull flag break out if it drops below 50? Yes. But do the odds fall? Yes. So we do want to see this stay above. So mixed bag on Hyperliquid, but I'm still bullish on this one long term. We did take some profit, but we did buy back in, got a little bit cheaper. So we're just adding to our hype bags here. What's it going to take for you to get in on hype? Is there a price level you're looking at, Drew?
Under $30.
Under 30?
Yeah, 20 to $30 is where the line in the sand is likely to be for Hyperliquid. And when I talk about the bullish structure of Bitcoin, it doesn't leave out a nice summer drawdown after April into May, as people realize that, there is, I still stand by that Aramco theory, DZ. And I think that Aramco theory is going to end up being the reason
Tell
why
the people what the theory is so they know.
Yeah, Gulf countries are going to end up watching Saudi Aramco get bombed and go up in flames. And then you're going to have 6-10 years of rebuilding to get those oil facilities back online. Is going to cause an energy crisis, in my humblest of opinions.
I'm taking the under on that one. I don't think Trump will escalate it to that point because it means absolute bloodbath.
I didn't say
in
Trump
November.
did it. I didn't.
Well,
say
that's
Trump
the only
did
thing
it.
that would cause it. It would
Oh.
be a second or third order effect of U.S. aggression.
I think it would either be Bibi or Iran itself that did it. So
you say Israeli aggression could then lead to an Iranian retaliatory response.
yes.
It's not
And-
the worst theory, potentially, but that's really going to sour the relationship between Bibi and Donald.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's something that I think is probably going to end up playing out. So that being said, I'm thinking that 60 is going to be able to defend itself in this theoretical situation, but I am not seeing the signs that we're going to come to terms with Iran, and I don't think Bibi's going to listen. So it is what it is.
Centralization's good if you want your token to pump a lot of the times. So hype. I'm not worried about centralization concerns there. You need some level because anybody can open a market on Hyperliquid. And so, yeah, a little bit of gatekeeping is going to be a good thing. We've seen when you don't have gatekeepers, how bad that can get. And huge unlock coming up. Those employees, if you read, I mean, maybe they're just lying and blowing smoke up or you know what's, but they seem like they're long-term invested, especially the founder. The founder is one of the better crypto founders out there. There's a good write-up on him. I actually have it up here on Colossus. It's hard to find. Maybe I'll talk about it in the future there. But yeah, great founder, I would say. So for that reason, I'm pretty bullish on that one. We do have a little bit of some updates on the hack, on the big hack that happened here. ApeChain posted this out, talking about the Kelp DAO. ApeChain not affected by the Kelp DAO situation. We decided to pause any bridges that rely on layer 0 until we have a full understanding of the situation. No need to move things around, says ApeChain. Plenty of bridges if you want to bridge for any reason. And this got quote tweeted with, "You guys made $212 today."
Fantastic work. Maybe they're not worth hacking at this point. Right?
They're not worth hacking. It's like a rusty shed with no tools inside. Is
Right.
that the shed that you break into if you're the thief in the night?
Right.
No.
Yeah. And yeah, I was thinking about putting a rust wrap on my truck just for this same theory, like wrapping the truck in a rust vinyl sheeting so it just looks like an absolute jalopy, like garbage. So people leave it alone. But yeah, ApeChain, glad your mark's safe. I wonder if did you used to mess around with ApeChain? Like, have you seen anything from the community? Is that thing still alive?
I still
or-
hold on to it for like concert tickets. That's really
Okay.
the only alpha at this point.
Well, they give you concert tickets though. I mean, that's
Yeah, they give
something.
you the Ape Fest, and sometimes that is like a concert. You know, they've had Eminem, they've had Snoop. I saw Timbaland, I saw the Baby or something, Lil Baby or Da Baby. No, it was Little Baby, not Da Baby. Gotta love these rapper names, right?
Yeah, and so the exciting music has stopped. Now, who's playing at the shows? Is it like Catch Me Outside Girl? And I mean, who's Hot
It's
Tour?
Island Boys.
Okay,
Island Boys is there. They had Little Pump, but he was like filming an adult movie backstage. It was very awkward. I wasn't having a good time. I said, I will not be the fluffer anymore. Thank you very much. Someone saying we are dumping. Yeah, we got a nice little correction here happening, but looks like maybe trying to find a little bit of some support here. Let's pull up the RSI. That's the money flow. Oh, tomorrow we might do a deep dive on the money flow for Bitcoin. We were talking about
Right.
that. Maybe not enough time to cover it today, but tomorrow, if you want to learn more about Market Cipher B, money flow, how that works, tune in on tomorrow's live. It's going to be a good one. Drew's going to bring you the masterclass. But yeah, a little bit of a pullback, nothing too crazy. We'll keep watching Bitcoin though as we keep going through the show here. We
well,
got
the
some pretty good.
S&P it opened at all like extreme highs. And
The S&P did.
yeah, check out the S&P because it's got a little bit of a gap from this morning's open. Shout out to I think I saw someone went and saw Slaughter to Prevail. Shout out to that band. That was terrible.
Look
Great.
at our levels. Look at our levels holding.
Yeah,
This
so
is
it's
the parallel range
okay.
that's been going on for 6 years.
just a little bit of time. I think just looking at the S&P, it looks very, very hot. It looks very heated.
Is that like
Running into
Paris
the
Hilton
top.
hot?
Paris Hilton's not hot. This is like
No,
skeletal.
that's so hot, she would always say.
Oh, okay. Yeah, hot. It's very hot right now. So I wouldn't be surprised by a little bit of a pullback.
Is 40K still in the cards? Now, I know Crank is pretty bearish, at least when it comes to Bitcoin here. Now, I am not quite at 40, and I can entertain 40s. 40s, 49 to 45, somewhere around there. But if we can break out of this, we might have a failed bear flag. And Drew, I'm going to do some analysis, maybe for a video tomorrow. I'm not going to measure it. This bear flag played out. The
Absolutely.
length here is looking pretty similar to the length here. And I think there might be a little bit of alpha in this because pretty much every bear market, let's go to 22, 23, is eventually broken by false bear flags. And I notice sometimes we have these similar run times, these similar lengths. And if that is the case, might be worth going back and looking at maybe the previous cycle, maybe even the cycle before then, and see what's up with these bear flags. Do these bear flags rhyme? Because right now we're starting to hit about the same amount of length of time here, which is what we saw in the past, is what we saw in bear markets past. So I'm gonna do a little research on that one. That one I really got to like look at the daily, pull up the Excel sheet, count, see if there's a there, and if there is, I'll make a video on it. Let's talk about one of your altcoins, Drew. Canton. Japan to test government bonds as digital collateral on Canton. Essentially the same thing we're doing in America here. And it's Japan Securities Clearing Corporation, part of the Japan Exchange Group, and say they're going to have a launch, or they're going to launch a proof of concept with 3 different companies to test the use of Japanese government bonds as digital collateral on Canton. So Canton's still making a lot of headway, finding some good partnerships here, U.S. government, Japanese government. Got a couple things here on Canton. First, this big giant red flag on the daily. If we close below this other smaller green candle, that is bad. That is going to give us what they call a bearish engulfing candle. That is bad if it plays out. But if we bounce off the higher trend line, which is going to be this one, it's going to be good. But if we bounce off this bottom trend line and it happens below this one, I would say watch out. Might be looking a little bit bearish here. That's my Canton thoughts there, Drew. I don't know if you have any.
Yeah,
anything
I
you're
mean,
thinking.
it's performing very steadily in a bear market, right? So with Canton, it's something that it's a very high risk, high reward situation. But I do also acknowledge that it's at 14 cents and it's already at number 17, right? So it's already in the top 20, and this coin just got released and available to buy. So what I'm doing with Canton is, if I see it get down and break down to say 12 cents, maybe 10 cents, I'll add to the position. But I will cut and run. I absolutely will jeet that thing if it loses the support, right? If it loses 7 cents, I'll get rid of it, because like that's just basically breaking down and heading to Chinatown right there. So I look at it as a trade, and as long as it holds that 11.5 cent mark, I'm feeling good about it, and I can add to the position. But I've been known to cut losses, and Canton really hasn't given me any losses. I really hammered this thing at 7.5 and took a little bit off the table at 18. So I'm in a pretty good position with this one.
Speaking of breaking down and heading to Chinatown, let's talk about the Strait of Hormuz.
Ooh.
That was a good one, right? That was a good one. There's reports today, because look, it's going from Iran to China. There's reports today that indicate there's an Indian tanker fell for a fake crypto scam, a fake Iranian crypto scam. They paid tether to the scammers, thinking they could pass through freely. They got shot at by the real IRGC forces, or Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. First time a crypto transactions led directly to maritime warfare? Question mark? I think it might be, Drew. We have the audio here. Let me make sure we're good to go. This is only 13 seconds. This is the tanker. I don't mean to laugh. It's the tanker pleading with the Iranian forces.
Sepa Navy. This is Motoranga Sanmar Herald. You gave me clearance to go. My name second on your list. You gave me clearance to go. You are fighting now. Let me turn back.
Fuck crypto. Oh, Lord.
I knew I should have used XRP. He said, yeah, so interesting story there. It looks like the scammers have now spilled into the Strait of Hormuz. Drew, we should be careful with the accents there. Scammers demand crypto from stranded ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Fraudulent actors posing as Iranian authorities have reportedly sent messages to shipping companies whose vessels are stranded west of the Strait of Hormuz, demanding payment for cryptocurrency for straight passage. Earlier this month, reports said Iran was considering charging ships going through in a tariff payable in Bitcoin or stablecoins or Chinese yuan. Empty tankers got free passage, but if you had oil, you're getting charged about $1 per barrel of oil. Or if you have container ships, you're getting charged for your weight. The reported scam messages instruct recipients to submit documentation for verification before being assigned a fee payable in cryptocurrency, after which safe transit would allegedly be granted at a pre-agreed time. They also suggest that at least one vessel was recently targeted by gunfire while attempting to exit the strait. They may have received such fraudulent instructions, though we haven't independently verified this. And I believe that is real audio. So I think it's pretty true, Drew.
Yeah, I'm just so surprised that there's a breakdown in communication with the highly organized IRGC. I mean, this is one of the, you see the pro-Iranian accounts talking about this is a rock solid, and they've been in military for a long time, but you also have Houthis on the other side. I mean, you talk about how decentralized armies are able to live long. Well, they also don't coordinate very well either. So You
Is
know,
the Byzantines generals problem personified there? We do have a super
Absolutely.
chat 40K still on the cards. Was there a different one? Right now, I had a fixed amount of USDT. Looks like it disappeared.
I'll put it up on the screen here.
Right now, at a fixed amount of USDT, how often do you charge your DCA amounts, or do you just dilute how much into each project? I change, and I'll just be a Friday buyer. I haven't been a buyer lately. Right now, I've been targeting stocks and doing a little DCA into Hyperliquid and a couple other altcoins there. But also saw a question about Nike. I like just Fridays because I get paid. It's not historically a good time. You should do it on, was it Tuesdays, Drew?
Hmm.
I think it's
I,
Tuesdays is the best day technically.
Yeah, I mean, I have an interesting situation because like my personal DCAing happens when we hit very low levels on the weekly and daily money, like the momentum waves for them. I like using that for like heavier DCA moments, especially when we're momentum wave to the downside on the weekly. I hammer that bad boy on Bitcoin. Now, stocks are a different thing. You have a lot of medical device interest, a lot of nuclear energy interest. So, those are, dare I say, more consistent. My kids, so the son wants cash for a go-kart. I'm building them a tree house, but then my daughter only wants Bitcoin. So both of the kids are performing very well in school, and I DCA very consistently for them just because they give me a bunch of A pluses and I go buy Bitcoin.
Do you spank them if they ask for hex?
No, they're kicked out. They have to go take care of the chickens in the
They
prairie.
have to
at
live
that
in the
point.
woods like
Yeah,
a feral
I mean,
child.
Get out.
If they get raised by wolves, maybe they'll come back stronger. Someone's asking about Nike. Is it going to dip below 40? I don't see it dipping below 40. It's real strong level of support. There's some I want to say there's a CME gap. This is one of those ones. Yeah, you got to go right there. So we bought in at 42 and change. We saw the CME gap. We said we like nibbling in at 42, maybe buying a little bit more at 40. I'm actually thinking about trimming half my position because we are up just slightly, just have a little bit more, dry powder on the sidelines there. Will it go below 40? I don't think it goes below 40, but heck, what do I know? This was beaten down real heavily because of tariffs. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. Did imported shoelaces cause, is that a good enough reason for Nike to drop 75%? I don't know. I went to the Nike outlet a couple weekends ago, Drew, packed. It was packed.
Oh, yeah. I know. That's the insane part about this. Like, I look around, everyone's got Nikes on, and then I look at the chart. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Also, did we cover the fact that the Supreme Court is trying to or already has overruled the tariff payments? And now we're eyeballing repaying the tariff payments the U.S.
Yeah,
has
I
received?
didn't even want to cover that because I believe there's still like 3 levels of appeals.
Yeah.
So there's
Fair.
they're going to be able to appeal like a portion of the payment instructions there, if my understanding is correct. So yeah, it's a developing story. Now, we did talk about the scam. Someone said, calling it a fake scam that is a double negative. So talking about the scams, someone's asking, well, how much in Bitcoin are they receiving? Well, we do have some information on that. This is 6 hours ago. It does look like there's vessels slipping through America's blockade. This is going to be 24 Iran-linked ships carrying oil and gas have evaded the blockade here. And this is according to Lloyd's. Lloyd's is based out of London, I believe, and a lot of insurance providers are going to use them here. So big money is paying attention to this number. I would trust, this isn't a knock on the U.S. government. I would trust Lloyd's before I would trust an official government official. Drew, would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Government officials will obscure data to make things look good.
Speaking of data, you always hear, well, U.S. is one of the major crude oil exporters. Have you heard that?
Mm-hmm.
We are a net importer.
Net importer of crude to refine it here in the U.S. Yeah. I mean,
we import more than we export.
Yeah, we like nibbling on other people's backyards and refining it here. We sit on trillions of barrels in the U.S., but we'd rather take other countries. Absolutely.
Yeah, so we import about 6 million barrels per day. We export about 4 million barrels per day. And so you'll hear government officials talk about the 4 million number all the time. We export 4 million barrels, 4 million barrels. We're one of the largest exporters in the world. We're actually not a net exporter. We import more than we export. So you'll hear framing of high oil prices is good for the U.S. economy, and here's why. But they often ignore that very salient detail, that very important fact of that. Yeah, we import 2 million net every day. So that was 6 hours ago. Dozens of ships have passed the blockade. We kind of talked about this in last night's video. Iran still hasn't sent their delegation to Pakistan. They were supposed to arrive yesterday. And so now, a lot of uncertainty over whether the talks are even going to happen. And this is the most recent thing. 3 hours ago, we did board a crude tanker in the Indo-Pacific, so near the Indian Ocean there. And so now we are, I guess, after 24 evasions, we're like, all right, this is getting a little embarrassing. Let's go ahead and board one of these things.
Yeah. I'm not gonna, I already said my theory. I'm not gonna beat the dead horse on
A
this.
Netanyahu aggression may lead to further escalation. That's kind of sums it up there.
Yeah, I mean, the cat's out of the bag, man. And this is a location that's been at war for like 6,000 years. With breaks in between, sure. There's been no long-standing peace in that region. And, there's also not a lot of fresh water. There's not you have little oases like Dubai that are now probably going to, we should look at the Dubai real estate index as well, because that might be something that is still cascading to the downside. But if you are spending 70% of your energy on air conditioning during the summer months and that gets interrupted for any amount of time, things can get weird. And the facade and the veneer of this oasis desert has now been wiped away, and they're back to just business as usual. So, U.S. involvement, yes, but honestly, man, like, this is something that's been brewing and getting ready to actually hit its crescendo moment for thousands of years. And there's not much that we can do. Whatever opinion it is that you have that you want to put out on the internet, it's not going to change the fact that these people feel the way that they do about each other. So,
yeah. I started thinking about your theory. If Saudi Aramco is potentially going to be suffering heavy losses financially, what's the market cap doing? Market cap's actually up over the last 30 days. So maybe something
it's relied on. It's very relied on. I'm not saying it's not currently relied on, Deep. I'm saying that can change.
I'm saying if you're expecting, 20 billion in losses because of a bomb, you would short it or sell it. Your equity in there.
Yeah. Me personally, I would be getting out of that. I would be getting out.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
if I had investment in that, I would have been out the moment that this stuff kicked off. Right. But
Apple is down today. Did you see the Apple news?
was it so Tim Cook stepped down. I think Tim Cook stepped down. And I saw this weird message about Trump talking about Tim Cook calling him. And
he said he was better than
Trump.
Steve Jobs. Yeah, he did a Truth Social post, said, he's asked me for a few things. One time he crossed the line, he asked too much, but I'd hook him up. And he said he did better than Steve Jobs, which if you go by market cap, he did.
Yeah.
But some would say Steve Jobs is the better innovator.
Absolutely. Steve Jobs laid the foundation for what Apple became, right? Tim Cook's a good CEO and a guy to fill the shoes, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of insane. I didn't even want to spend much time reading into it because Apple is a massive corporation at this point, and it's almost turning into a immovable object. Right? Tell me, what news did you see on Apple? Good old
Tim Cook stepping down. They have named the replacement there. Trump dropped his message. When I got the call, I said, "Wow, it's Tim Apple Cook." He famously called him Tim Apple at a boardroom meeting years ago. How big is that? I was very impressed with myself to have the head of Apple calling to kiss my A. That was the beginning of a very long and very nice relationship. I love how the guy's like, hey, Donald Trump just wrote a glowing review on your departure, and you read it. He's like, the first paragraph, he's like, yeah, Tim called to kiss my ass. And you're like,
know.
This was the good letter?
That's
I'd hate
pretty
to see
rude.
the bad one.
That's pretty rude, Yeah, and Trump's never been the most eloquent of, I guess. So, I do acknowledge that. Tim Cook stepping down. I don't think it's really going to stop. I think Apple, they're going to have their hand in this AI upswing. I wish some more innovation would come out of Apple. I feel like they spent a lot of wasted time on those stupid Oculus glasses. right? A lot of
Yeah,
time.
that was a big miss. Their car was a big miss. They spent billions on the car, then they shuttered the whole service there. Their last two launches, besides the goggles, have been semi-successful, and that's going to be the earbuds. Earbuds is like just earbuds is better than 99.9% of companies out there if you just separated it as its own company. And the Apple Watches are doing pretty well. But of course, the iPhone is the flagship there. And the new CEO is going to be the former head of engineering. And so some are saying, this is good for their foldable phone. So the next big thing is going to be the foldable phone. Apple, we actually talked about this trend line. It's just rejecting off the trend line. Show me the charts. I'll tell you the news. This is another instance of that. It didn't matter if Tim Cook's stepping down or not. He's going to be there till September 1st. But Apple just hitting against some resistance. And I am a huge buyer if we ever come down to the yellow trend line. That to me is a mega opportunity there. Apple's not going anywhere. They have such a strong, I would say they're part of the duopoly, but they have such strong brand recognition and brand loyalty. Probably the best brand loyalty at all of tech.
I mean, think about how much money people have spent on interoperable products for it, right? Like AirPods.
Yeah, they lock you into that ecosystem.
Right. So they've done a really good job from a hardware perspective at locking. And also, I mean, in terms of security, it's a pretty robust security system, even if they did open up a back door for the government to go into your stuff if they're asked to do so. This security wise, I do like Apple for that side of things. And I think this stepping down moment might actually give us the velocity to hit that yellow line. Let's say we go and tap that over the next few months here. This is the weekly
This is the
chart.
COVID low that started this trend.
Mhm.
And there's the runoff at January 23. We're going to see the the tariff.
Mhm.
And now this is what we're looking at.
Right. About 228 is that? 230 maybe? About 230? Okay. I'll keep this in mind for
212.
myself. Yeah. I like that.
205.
I like that idea for sure. Because it's just I don't think it's going away. It's just, people are going to take advantage of the moment. The charts will play it out anyways. So, are you an Apple guy? Because I'm obviously an Apple guy. Are you an
I
Apple
don't
guy?
like it. I was always a Google Droid user, but my wife
Okay.
wanted to FaceTime, and I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. I actually think the Google phones are better than Apple.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The Google has the foldable phone already, right? Like I saw the
Yeah, the
foldable
Samsung
phone,
too.
the big one with if you can fold it open and see a chart on your phone, that'd probably be bad for my home life, but good for my trading life.
Apple, one of the other reasons I got into Apple, recording content on a social media app gives you better clarity for the video.
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah, it
supposed to be, optimized for the Apple phones. But if they want to optimize for a Google phone, they have to do like all of these and all of those and all of these. So they end up just kind of skipping that step these days. We do have a last story I want to share here. Senator urging delay of the Clarity Act markup until May. And so just the odds keep lowering and lowering and lowering that we're going to see this Clarity Act. And they're reaching out to Tom Tillis, reaching out to Tim Scott here. Tom Tillis from North Carolina says he does not expect them to mark up the legislation in April. As recommended, Tim Scott, you schedule it for next month. So every month the odds go down slightly. Remember, Scott Bessent said this is necessary. We need this. The banks need this. And the big dispute is going to be the stablecoin yield. The banks and the crypto companies still hashing that fight out. And so going to be a developing story there. At this point, I'm almost at a coin toss if this thing's going to pass through.
Yeah. And honestly, I hope it doesn't pass. And that's my hope. I hope that it doesn't pass and that banks try to protect their castle from the tower they have left. And people just will end up having teenager syndrome and going and getting better yield out of regular crypto anyway. I don't think that we need their adoption to save crypto. I really don't feel that way. It feels like a net negative to me. Bitcoin, checking it out here, 75.6 right now. This is the top of a little bit of old resistance that proved itself as support twice leading up to this fall back down to it. So, I'm almost getting tempted
There's hope
right
here.
now. What's that?
There's hope here.
There
There's
is
a little bit
hope
of hope.
There is absolutely hope there. And I like to let 10 a.m. play out and, some of the buffoonery of the morning messages from Trump to get out of the way before I end up getting into trades. But I might take a little taste tester here just to see. But if I would be playing it in, man, I'm keeping the stop at around like 75 to, and I'll take the punch on the face if we decide to go check out those lower levels I was talking about at the beginning of the show, and the 73.5 definitely on the table, and 75 flat. So, just be careful out there. If you're trading with me, you're trading with anyone in our Discord, it's okay to take a punch in the head every now and again. You got to be able to take a punch in trading and in crypto. That's part of the game.
Easiest question in the world: Doge or Chainlink? Which one's better? Chainlink, 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 Chainlink.
Yeah, I'd be choosing Chainlink over Doge.
Now, Drew, what's going to pump harder over the next 6 months?
Probably Doge.
Could be Doge.
Probably Doge. But
how do we explain that disconnect?
Well, animal spirits come before reason, right? Animal spirits arrive before reason. So, when I look at if I'm and I look at Chainlink as something that takes up maybe 5-10% of my portfolio, Doge I look at something that would take up 1%, right? It's when I see Doge, it's still a meme coin to me. It's never reached that moment of being something bigger than a meme coin to me. It's just a very large meme coin. A lot of cult members. They never came up with a name though. That's something that just dawned on me. We never had a Doge army or a
Maybe it's
Doge
Doge
gang.
Pound.
Maybe the Doge Terror Cell or something, or I don't know. We got to come up with a name for them.
Yeah. Elon's
Something that's-
lackeys.
Yeah, something like that would be good.
Is VVV a top AI coin? Is one of the top performers of the last 30 days, and for that reason, it does bear a little bit of extra attention there. I guess we could pull it up here.
Mhm.
Not Valvoline. Looking for the crypto and pulled it up. So, well, there's not much TA we're going to be able to give you here, except it's probably overbought. Yeah. Oh, actually, that's way better than I would have guessed.
It's not
Way
bad.
better. Yeah, that's
I think-
slightly bearish, but that could be a lot worse.
I breezed over it at the beginning of the show. It's got good people backing it. I think it was Voorhees that's in there backing it. And it's got a lot of privacy focus that they're trying to build in, AI privacy, especially with all like the code leaks and things like that are happening. Privacy plays that VVV is trying to do. Not bad. Not bad. What's it at now? It's like $9 or something like that. Holy cow. Really ripping.
Yeah, that thing's moving, folks. That thing's moving. All right, well, folks, that's our show for today. Hey, if you could help us out and smash that like button, we really would appreciate it. We were going to shoot in the new studio today, but we had microphone issues, sound gates and microphones, keyboard clacking being picked up. It was a whole thing. So give us maybe another day or two. We're going to keep working on that, and we'll last. All right. I've seen you guys spamming Cardano. Oh, wow, Drew. This is actually worth looking at.
Oh, it's trying to fight.
It's trying to choose
fight.
higher, baby.
Oh my Lord. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, there you go. Check ADA. It's trying to choose higher on that daily candle. This is definitely a make or break decision. There's a fork in the road, and there's a long-term support level. We're talking about multiple years here. So we got to hold this. So Cardano holding on, but maybe we could dip into, maybe retouching this trend line here. So keep an eye on that.
Like that Ralph meme. I'm in danger. But this is the moments where you make
There you
money. Like you have to have some gusto, and you have to have some degree of risk taking if you're especially if you're buying meme coins. Even if you're buying Bitcoin though, right? You stand the potential of a 20% haircut on Bitcoin, 50%, whatever you what fever dream you want to cook up, 20K Bitcoin or whatever. But Cardano, it has a community that stuck around, and yeah.
And do we have a recommendation for a crypto IRA? Bitcoin IRA, link is down below. Go check that out. Also, if you want to check out some of our other featured partners out there, we got a list of links. If you want to trade, check out ZoomX. We have our Discord trading group as well. No charge to join. You can join for free. Just need a UID from one of our partners there, but no money up front. And you can get to most of all of the cool channels in there. And a big shout out to Klein as well. If you want to learn trading, check out Klein. Get a little bit of let's just say a tutorial before you dive into the Strait of Hormuz. And folks, smash the like button on the way out, and keep an eye out for Drew's video tonight. So turn on those notifications. We really do appreciate it. And we'll see you folks in
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.